Hi all, this is Vanessa Love. I'm doing this video from my cell phone today and at home. As you notice, I have a little bit of makeup on. I went out with a friend last night, so we get dressed up. All right, so I wanted to talk about how small the agencies are in Connecticut. And so I worked in a hospital, and that hospital is now 2.5 hours from where I live. Right? Wait, no. An hour and a half. An hour and a half from where I live now. And so when I worked there, I lived about 45 minutes away, and I ran into clients maybe twice in the 2.5 years. And because I saw so many people and I worked far away from where the hospital was, I lied and said, oh, I worked with so and so, whenever someone approached me, if they were uncomfortable with seeing me. But for the most part, actually, they sought me out to say hi. So that was really kind of nice. Just a little like, hey, how's work? So, that's cool. I've actually ran into more clients when I've been out here, and I feel badly because I did see so many people when I was at the hospital. I mean, when you have 70, what do they call that? The census. The census can be up to 70 at that place, and I think the lowest that we had was maybe 20, and that's around, that's that month between Thanksgiving and New Year's, that if they're not chronic cases, that they get sent home fairly quickly. Yeah, for reasons. So, when you have, and there's people coming in and out every day, and yeah, so you can imagine it's a lot of people. So one time I ran into someone, and as I said, I've worked with so many people, and I didn't know that he had been in my group therapy sessions in the hospital. So that was interesting. As I said, lots of people, and finally, after he had said hi to me, like hours after he had said hi to me, it's like, oh my gosh, I knew I recognize where that person is from now. I just thought he was being nice. Yeah, I didn't know. So I had to work in an agency in order to, what is that called? In order to make some money while I was getting my practice up and running. And it was a group home. So I worked with someone, and everyone said, oh my gosh, their sister looks exactly like them. And I had seen a picture of her sister, and I was like, that's your sister, that's cool. Then her sister walked in to have dinner one day after her sister was admitted to the other group home in the area, and it's someone that I worked with, one of the last patients I worked with while I was at the hospital. And it was interesting because when I left the hospital to be in private practice, this teenage girl had said, I'm going to find you. So that was really interesting. And then she wanted to talk about clients, which I can't say much. I mean, when you're in a hospital setting and you're an inpatient unit for a couple of weeks or a month or whatnot, I mean, you get some information about people, but also at the same time, once people leave, not many of us are keeping in contact with them, so we really don't know. There has been a couple of people who we did keep in contact with because, again, different boundaries, different levels of education. So we had people there. They were on the front lines in the hospital, right? Called mental health workers, and you only had to have a high school diploma in order to get that, and I think be over 18, to get that type of job. So again, the boundaries are very different. And one of the mental health workers, or actually a couple of them, have been friends with previous patients. So, they kind of knew what was going on. And recently, sadly, one of the people who, we all have this terminology, it's not meant to be mean, but frequent flyers, it means people who come in and out. One of the people who had been a frequent flyer at that hospital had passed away at a young age. I think he was like maybe 18 or 19, but he had been coming in and out of the hospital since he was young. And I don't know how they knew, but I'm guessing it's because a few of them were probably his friends on Facebook. Yeah, so it's scary. But anyway, so some of the clients, even though we discouraged it, or some of the patients there would be friends together, and they'd kind of know what was going on in each other's lives. That's interesting. But it was also very surprising that, someone who I had, as I was saying, so someone who I had worked with at the hospital an hour and a half away from where I work now is in the same agency that I'm working in. And yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. And it seems like it happens a lot. I mean, especially for kids, there's not a lot of places for them to go, and so they kind of like go to these different places. And I remember one of the mental health workers worked at he worked at the same hospital as me, and then he worked at one of like another place an hour away. Or no, gosh, I can't remember if he worked at Girls and Boys Village or if he worked at the Connecticut Home for Children. But either one, they're an agency, and so he saw some of the people who were at the hospital who had to go because of chronic illnesses to other forms of care, but it was still within the health excuse me, still within the health field, and that seems fairly typical. It's kind of interesting, but it's also like, oh my gosh, it can be so weird sometimes. All right, well, I think that's all I want to say for today, and I hope you enjoy these, and I'll try and update when I can. All right, I've been good for the last couple of days, but there's gonna come a day when I'm just gonna fall off the face of the earth again. Ugh, I don't want to do that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your day. Thanks.